Mental Health May couldn't have come at a better time. Welcome everybody to the kickoff for Mental Health May. Hello everyone, I'm Marilyn. Some people call me Maya, and I'm so happy and excited for this month of Mental Health May that I'm co-hosting with the wonderful Kim of Middle of the Book March. And I say it couldn't have come at a better time for both of us, because we're both struggling with issues right now, and Kim mentioned a little bit of that on her video. And for me, I just found out like yesterday that I took some tests, and one of my genetic tests came out that I'm at a very, very high risk, which I should have known, but they didn't have this test before, for heart issues, which I already have, but I'm very grateful that for the number that it came out, that I'm still here. So gratitude is number one. So Mental Health May is celebrating Mental Health Awareness Month, where we build conversations about mental health, which is so important, especially right now. Maybe not just right now, but right now we're going through a lot, not only in our country, but in the world, and people's mental health issues are exasperated because of that. Kim and I wanted to make this a really chill month for reasons that we just explained. We don't want to put pressure on ourselves, any more pressure than we have just living, just life. But this event is very, very important to me. So I want to talk about, firstly, some of the books that I'm going to be hopefully reading, some of them, but I'm not putting pressure on myself. Now, what happens to me when I am under stress? I turn to one of my comfort reads, which is traditional mysteries. And one of my subscribers asked me just in my last video if I knew any other creators on Booktube who talk about traditional mysteries, not cozy mysteries necessarily, and not thrillers, but just the traditional mystery. And unfortunately, I couldn't think of anybody beside, we had Janelle, and we lost her from Too Fond of Books. So if anyone knows of any creators, or if there are any creators out there who do traditional mysteries, please let me know in the comments so I can share this with my subscriber. But I decided that I think I want to maybe bring back Mystery Mondays, because I found during the time that I'm going through a lot of stress that that's the first book I picked up. And this is a more than 400-page book, and it's more the worse for wear, because I've been taking it everywhere. It's not new at all, and it's Martha Grimes' The Stargazey. And what a wonderful book. I think the Los Angeles Times, this was not written recently, let me just tell you that, but the Los Angeles Times says it's the literary equivalent of a box of Godiva truffles. Wonderful. I'll say it's a box of See's candy truffles, or Tushers, if anybody knows Tushers from New York City, and I think from Switzerland originally. But it really is. And I said in my last video that Martha Grimes and I had an on and off relationship, but let me tell you now, that was all on my part, because it's on right now. I thought that she was too complicated for me, too literary, too many characters, and I started this about 2 years ago. And what is it about? It's basically a luminous blonde leaves, reboards, then leaves the double-deck bus, Richard Jury, who's one of the police detectives in this story. He follows her up to the gates of Fulham Palace, And please let me know if this is a real place in London, because they said it's a place that's not often visited by tourists, but I've never heard of it. So let me know if it's made up. I think it's real. Days later, when he hears of the death in the palace walls garden, jury will wonder if he could have averted it. But is the victim the same woman jury saw? And then we have, as he and Melrose Plant, the other ex-detective, follow the complex case from the Cripsian depths of London's East End to the headier heights of Mayfair's art scene, jury will realize that in this captivating woman, dead or alive, he may have finally met his match. And I really loved the beginning of this, and I don't know, I put it down because there were so many other books that I wanted to read at the time in the beginning of my being a creator at Booktube, but I loved it because he was mesmerized by this blonde woman for whatever reason, and he follows her getting on and off the bus, and he almost followed her into Fulham Palace. And I'm halfway through right now, so I'm not going to talk about it too much, except that I'm really enjoying all of these weird and wonderful characters. It's more of a psychological mystery than an actual whodunit right now to me, and but it's not a thriller. It's really a traditional police procedural. So I have been this has been such a comfort to me while I'm going through some stress. So I think that I have to realize that this is my comfort reads. One of them. Okay, so what else am I definitely going to read? Nothing. I'm not definitely going to read anything. But I have some books to show you, and some that I'm reading right now. One looks brand new. When I first started Booktube, I talked about The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, and how much it helped me during my struggles with mental health. And his Four Agreements seem very simple, but they're really hard. So this is the companion book, and this book that I didn't read, it looks brand new, like I said, is a must-read not only for those who enjoyed Don Miguel's first book, but for anybody who's ready to leave suffering behind and to master the art of living in our natural state, happiness. So that sounds like something that will calm me down and has calmed me down before. In fact, I did a whole series when I first started Booktube about how the Four Agreements helped me. And I'm going to try to find a playlist for when nobody was watching my channel at all, practically, of the whole series I did on Mental Health Mondays. So I'll try to put that down if I can figure it out. At least my partner will be able to figure it out. Then Kim is reading, for sure, she said, Mr. Flood's Last Resort by Jess Kidd. I've never, and I picked this up, I bought it, I got it for really like $3 on eBay, and I've never read any of her books, but Kim says that she has, and she really enjoys Jess Kidd, who's an Irish author, and this book is about hoarding, and I think that's the Hoarder is the British name of this novel. And it has to do with topics of agoraphobia, of hoarding, of trauma. And I started reading it. It's also a big book. It's not as huge as, it's like almost 350 pages. And so we're following Maud Drennan, dedicated caregiver whose tragic past has left her haunted by a chorus of prattling saints that only she can see. So we see that there's magical realism in this, which if done mildly, I can handle. So I'm going to take this slow and see how much I like it, see how I get along with it. But I'm glad I bought it anyway. And then I'm also reading The Healing Power of Storytelling, which I I mentioned in my last video. And I'm enjoying this one more than any of the other mental health books that I've been dipping in and out of. And that's using personal narrative to navigate illness, trauma, and loss. And I found, for me, writing helped me heal with therapists that I went to, by myself, when writing a memoir. And I want to really see what they have to say about it. I haven't read much, but Dr. Brewster and journalist Rachel Zimmerman each share their own personal stories, acting as expert guides as you move forward on your healing journey. So they have exercises, reflections, writing prompts, and stories from real patients and family members. And they show how you can perceive the difficult emotions that come alongside life-changing diagnosis, integrate a traumatic health event or loss into a new and evolving identity, strengthening connections with loved ones, and cultivate resistance to move forward amid adversity. So it's just what I need right now. I'm dipping in and out of it, and we'll see how that works out. I want to talk about a toolkit for mental health, and I plan to talk about that during Mental Health May. So we need tools that we can grab when we're in some kind of mental health crisis, and I'm going to talk about that during the month. But something I'm doing for self-care is that in 2 weeks I'm going to Canada. And I'm going to visit and stay for a few days with my good friend Lindy from Lindy's Magpie Reads. And I'm going with my daughter, my adult daughter. And that is part of my self-care. To get out of my head, get out of my, though beautiful environment, it's still an environment that is keeping me stuck right now. So I'm really looking forward to going somewhere I've never been before and spending time with my daughter, spending time with my booktube friend Lindy, and she promised we were going to go book shopping. So that's going to be my self-care. So I'm not going to be doing a lot of videos, but I hope to do some shorts about self-care and toolkits and things like that. Now, I got a surprise with this book. I talked about it before, that when I did my Goldilocks and the Three Bears metaphor, Getting Good at Getting Older, Richard Siegel and Rabbi Laura Geller. It's not really, it's a Jewish-based book, but it talks about other religions too, and non-religions, you know, like meditation and things like that. And I said it was too big for me. It was too inspirational, but I'm getting so much joy from this book, I cannot tell you. I can't tell you because I want to read from it. So, self-kindness. Isn't that what we're talking about, self-care? So it talks about stretching our self-kindness muscles. And this is an exercise that can help us connect with our potential for self-kindness. So it says to pause for a bit between each step and notice what's happening, sensations, emotions, thoughts. So I'm going to read them to you because maybe you'll get something out of it. Okay, one is sit or lie down. I do this a lot. And but I've also been going up and down the stairs like 7 flights a day, which is not easy with my hip issues, but it's really making me feel alive, and just, it's really doing a lot for me besides sitting and lying down. 2 is take 3 deep breaths, and 3, put the palm of your hand over your heart, or if you prefer, gently touch your forehead or cheek. Put a smile on your face. 5 is remember a time when you were distressed and then comforted. Savor the feelings. 6 is imagine calming and comforting someone you care about, a friend, relative who is distressed. And the last one is imagine calming and comforting yourself. Acknowledge the reality of being distressed. Comfort yourself with tender touch. Say soothing words. make soothing sounds, be patient with the process. And so that really helped me in the moment, because this whole book is just great. So I really suggest it. You don't have to be Jewish. They used to say to eat Levy's rye bread in New York, but you don't have to be Jewish to read this. It talks about Buddhism thoughts. It also talks about being Catholic. I mean, it's not a religious book, but with a Jewish bent. So if that's your cup of tea, do that. Read it, because I suggest it. Then I always go back to favorite books and rereading. One of my favorite books that I was so fortunate to pick up at a book sale is My Ideal Bookshelf. And it's all about books, and that's comforting to me. And I just want to read you some of the pages of the quotes. So what is it? We're talking about different people, a poet and their ideal bookshelf. And so you get a lot of recommendations. At the same time, you feel this bookshelf feeling, and in the end, it has your ideal bookshelf. And I haven't done it yet, and I've been putting it off because I've been reading so many books. Let me see if you can see it. So you fill it out to make it as colorful or not colorful as you want. And this is art by Jane Mount, edited by Thessaly LaForce. And in the back of it, it says some quotes. So I used to read a lot of Pico Iyer, who writes a lot of travel memoirs, but with a very literary bent. And he says, the books on my shelf never asked to come together and would not trust or want to listen to one another, but each is a piece of a stained glass whole without which I couldn't make sense to myself or to the world outside. Roseanne Cash says, I think books find their way to you when you need them. And this book just jumped in my arms. And people I don't know, Mira Nair said, a room is not a room without books. So this is a comfort read that I'm going to dip into this month. So, like I said, to participate in Mental Health May, all you have to do is take care of yourself. That's it. Take care of yourself. Do a self-care ritual. Read a book maybe reread a book. You don't have to read a book about mental illness or mental health, but one thing that I suggest is if you have someone who's struggling with mental illness, that you start a conversation with them. I have people in my family that struggle with mental illness, and you can't save anyone, but you can reach out to them and tell them, I'm here for you. I'm listening. And sometimes that's all that people need. Sometimes it's not enough. But we can't save anybody. But we can start a conversation around the stigma about mental illness, about the young people who are suffering with mental illness. And I will share that I recently lost someone to mental illness, a young person that's a relative in my family that I've only met when she was very young, but she was in her 30s and she passed away. We don't know exactly the situation, but it's extremely, extremely sad. And I was trying to get a hold of this person and didn't know that she was suffering. So we don't know what people are, if people that we know, even intimately, they have problems. And sometimes, people might be creators on Booktube, but they're still struggling with things. So starting a conversation and ending stigma is the best thing that we can do. So thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it very much. If you would like, share it, and please subscribe to my channel if you feel like it, if you want to. So thanks, and I will be back. I'm not going to be doing a lot of videos because I'm leaving in 2 weeks, but I will do my best to keep up with the conversation around mental health. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.